Hey everyone, it's Hailey and I'm super excited for today's video. It's one that I've wanted to do for a while now, but today I'm going to be recommending books based off of movies or TV shows that you liked. I actually have a really decent stack of books here and I'm covering a lot of things. There's a lot of like just different random movies and stuff. I'm sure that I could do a lot more of these. Like the more I look at my shelves, the more that I'm thinking of TV shows and movies. If you wanted to comment down below before even actually starting the video with a movie or TV show that you have really loved, that you would love to like read a book or be recommended a book based on that, please do, because I think this could be a fun thing to do. Like I just love doing these videos where I get to recommend something based on something else. I don't know why. I just think it's really fun. So this is actually the first time that I've done it this way. Usually I recommend a book either based on another book that you've loved, or I'm recommending it based on like something that you loved in a book, if that made sense. This is the first time we're doing it with not books, with TV shows or movies. And I actually did do this for Christmas stuff one time, just Christmas movies, but this is going to be just random things. So let's just get into it. So first of all, if you enjoyed Mamma Mia, and for the sake of this, I'm just going to be talking about the movie. I do know that it's originally a Broadway play, but for the sake of this video, if you enjoyed the movie Mamma Mia, the masterpiece with Meryl Streep and Amanda Seyfried? I don't actually know how to say her name, but literally there's just so many people. Mrs. Weasley is in it. The woman, I can't think of her name right now, but she plays so many different people in so many different things. I think she's in The Good Wife or something like that I've never watched, but she is in The Grinch. Anyways, it's a really long-winded explanation. I just adore that movie so much. Recently I've been watching The Dropout though, so like I haven't watched Mamma Mia since watching that, and I feel like Amanda Seyfried's character is going to be very different. Like it's gonna be hard to watch her in Mamma Mia after seeing how well she does Elizabeth Holmes in The Dropout. Anyways, if you enjoyed Mamma Mia, then you should check out Paris is Always a Good Idea by Jen McKinley. The reason that I think that this is a great one, whether it's Mamma Mia 1 or Mamma Mia 2, both of them deal with themes of like self-discovery. Obviously the first one is dealing more so with Sophie, but in the second one, you're dealing more with her mother's like growth and self-discovery and figuring out who she is. And I think that that is really what this story deals with as well. I think particularly Mamma Mia 2 might be a good comparison for this one, just given the fact that it's dealing with grief as well, and the main character is going through that grief. So we have a main character who has kind of been very different ever since the loss of her mother, and she ends up going back to where she was when she found out about her mother dying, which is she was traveling across Europe. And while she's there, she's going to meet all of the guys that she had met along this trip. So there's one in Ireland, there's one in Paris, and then I believe there's one in Rome as well. So we have 3 men that she's like trying to see if maybe they were lost flames that she could actually make work, and they didn't work out because of everything that was happening. We have the travel element to it as well, obviously. It's a really fun romance story. I think it captures like the whimsy of Mamma Mia as well. It has that kind of similar vibe to it, so it's definitely a book worth checking out whether you do enjoy Mamma Mia or not, but I think that if you did like it, then you would probably enjoy this read. This next one's gonna seem silly, but hear me out. So if you enjoyed Titanic, then you should check out Luck of the Titanic by Stacey Lee. The reason that I'm suggesting this is because I feel like a lot of the views of the Titanic have been very westernized, and this one is interesting because it's actually following British Chinese passengers aboard the Titanic. So I think that it is like such a heartbreaking story, but it's giving you a different lens to see that like iconic tragedy through. And obviously the Titanic is also a real event, so it's just giving you more like realistic information, but you also have a similar like heartbreaking element to it as well. In this one we are following siblings, and the one, she has like kind of snuck onto the Titanic. She wasn't really supposed to be there, but she snuck on because she was supposed to be ladies' maid for someone, but that person, I can't remember if they ended up not boarding or they died or something, but but she ends up like acting as if she were boarding. She actually went on the ship, and because of that, she ends up being in both the lowest class, in third class, and in first class. So you're seeing a very multifaceted viewpoint of the Titanic, and where I think that this one really excels and has a great comparison in the Titanic is that it's kind of easy to forget that you're aboard the Titanic. You're just experiencing life on this cruise ship with these characters, and you know there's kind of like this impending doom, but at the same time, there are a lot of moments where you can forget that. So I think that this is a great one to read either way, but definitely if you did enjoy the Titanic and would like to learn more, this offers a very different viewpoint on things. This next one, I haven't actually read this book yet, but I wanted to mention it. So if you enjoyed Euphoria, then you might like Roxy by Neil Shusterman and Jared Shusterman. I feel confident recommending this because I really have loved like pretty much everything that Neil Shusterman has written, and I'm looking forward to reading this one. This one I say that you might enjoy if you enjoyed Euphoria because it deals with drugs. So specifically that kind of part of Euphoria. This is actually a very different view on things though, because you have like the gods of certain drugs. So Roxy is like the god of Oxy, and then we have Addison, who's the god of Adderall, I believe. But it's just like a really like scary kind of view of things that I feel like this book is going to take, and that's definitely the most startling thing about Euphoria is like that whole drug plot line and how startling it is. So I think that if you enjoyed or were interested, I feel like is maybe a better word, in that part of Euphoria, you might like checking this one out, but do be aware that it is going to probably be very triggering. So be wary of that and look into it a bit before picking it up. Next up, if you enjoyed This Is Us, then you might like Far From the Tree by Robin Benway. I make this comparison pretty frequently because I feel like this is kind of like a novel version of This Is Us. This Is Us is obviously dealing with family at its core and different, like the different relationship between family and the different backgrounds between them and their upbringing, even though like they come from the same parents and everything. And I say that with like knowing that the one child was adopted, but they still were raised by the same parents is what I mean. So in this story, it's kind of examining that a little bit further and in a little bit of a different way. This is following three siblings who they all had different upbringings. Their mother put them up for adoption, and you have one who was never adopted and was stuck in the foster care system. And then you have another who was adopted into a great family. Actually, I don't think it's three. I think it might just be two. No, it is three. I don't exactly remember what the third child's thing is. I think that they were also adopted, but it's been a while since I've read this one. But it was a book that I was very pleasantly surprised with how much I enjoyed it. And I think if you like the emotional aspect of This Is Us and the sibling relationship and the ups and downs of that, then this is a great book to try. So I actually wrote out this list of comparisons quite a while ago, like a couple of months ago now. So I now have two for this one, but if you enjoyed Gossip Girl, my initial recommendation was that you check out The 1000th Floor by Katharine McGee, which still stands. This is great because it's like a sci-fi kind of futuristic version of Gossip Girl, but it doesn't really read like a sci-fi. The setting is more so sci-fi because it's this like 1000-floor building where you live kind of determines where you are in society. And there's this friend group. It's a real like twisted and tangled web. However, more recently I have read Ace of Spades by Ferda Abike Ayamide, and this is absolutely Gossip Girl to a T because you actually have like this Gossip Girl, like XOXO Gossip Girl sort of vibe. So really, if you enjoyed Gossip Girl or Pretty Little Liars, I feel like both of these are good ones to go with. They're not as dark, I would say, as Pretty Little Liars, but they're really just dramatic stories and real tangled web. Like Ace of Spades is just a whole other world, shocking and really scary, but so good. So definitely if you're into the drama and everything, these are two great books. Next up, I'm kind of throwing it back to like an older movie, but if you enjoyed Father of the Bride with Steve Martin, those are such classic movies, then you would probably enjoy Save the Date by Morgan Matson. I also feel like to mention another Steve Martin movie, if you enjoyed Cheaper by the Dozen, you might like this, because both of them kind of capture that family chaos. I compare this one to Father of the Bride though, because a wedding is at the center of the story, and you have this family that there's not a dozen of them, but there's quite a few, and they've grown up kind of in the public eye because their mother has written a comic about them, so they are like regularly in this comic, and the family's going through kind of a transformative time. They're having a lot of struggles. They're all together again in this house because the oldest sister is getting married, so there's obviously a lot of chaos there, and you can kind of see the comparison. I love Father of the Bride. Such a solid, like, enjoyable movie. This is a little bit more, I don't want to say intense, it's very chaotic though. Like, this made me anxious with all the things that were happening, but it was enjoyable at the same time. However, there were some frustrating moments to it, but I think if you're looking for something like a really chaotic wedding read, this is a good one. Next up, if you enjoyed Project Runway, so we're switching to a reality TV show here, but you would probably like Spin the Dawn by Elizabeth Lim. So this is actually like, it was pitched as Project Runway meets Mulan, and that's exactly what it is. So fashion is a huge part of this story, and you have a main character who is a tailor, and she's actually like, it's more of a magical element to it because she is able to like manipulate the garments that she's making, which is really interesting. So she's competing to be the emperor's tailor, but she's not supposed to because you can't as a girl, so she's pretending to be her brother, and it's just this like wild ride of a fashion competition, but also her trying to hide herself and everything. It's really interesting. That actually made me think of one more, but I think that I'm gonna save it. I'm definitely going to do another video like this because I think I want to save it, but I thought of another reality TV show one. Anyways, if you enjoyed Center Stage, which I don't know if it's because like I grew up doing dance and my sisters danced and everything, and my mom used to teach dance, but like we used to watch Center Stage a lot. So if you have heard of Center Stage and if you enjoyed it, then you would probably like Tiny Pretty Things by Danielle Clayton and Sona Chairopotra. In here, dance is a main topic. It's set at a Manhattan Ballet Academy. I think it is, yes. So Manhattan's most elite ballet school, and you're following 3 different characters, and they all have like different experiences, but they are all ballerinas. They are all having their own struggles and everything, and I think that's pretty much like exactly what Center Stage is. This gets more brutal and like way more twisted and kind of a little bit more, I don't want to say ridiculous, but like intense, but it is really enjoyable. Next up, if you enjoyed Doctor Who, then you definitely need to check out Invictus by Ryan Groudon. I'm a huge Ryan Groudon fan. I don't know if she's coming out with any new books soon, but it's been a while and I would really like something new. I think this is her last book that she's come out with. However, this is like just a wild ride of going through time, like time not making sense, all of that. Definitely if you enjoy Doctor Who, it's one to go with. You have a character who is existing outside of time. I will say it deals more with like history than it does with the future, I find. Like there's not really, it's not dealing with aliens. If you like the alien aspect of Doctor Who, then I think that the Skyward series by Brandon Sanderson is a really good one for that. But if you enjoy just like the traveling through time, going into the past specifically, but also going into the future and the technological side of things, this is so great, and it's also so fun, just like a blast reading this one. So I'm just gonna do one more, but I do have a few ideas to get started on another video, and then if you guys comment down below, I'm sure I will be able to come up with like a very complete list soon. But if you enjoyed Cruella, the recent Disney live action adaptation, you should definitely check out The Shadows Between Us by Trisha Levenseller. This is like a really wild, like kind of get to know your enemies better sort of story, if that makes sense. And I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, this also does kind of have an element where it deals with fashion, which I read this and then I shortly thereafter watched Cruella, and it did like directly, I thought of this book. This is different because it's more of like a romance story that's at the focus of it. However, you have similar characters who are kind of going to stop at nothing to get what they feel like they deserve and what they want. And I think that their characterization is pretty similar, but you get more of a romance side in this one. And Cruella was just, it was very interesting. Like, I really enjoyed it as a backstory. Okay, so those are all of the movies or TV shows that I wanted to recommend some books for. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in another new one soon. Bye!